Alright y'all, we're going to cook some Caribbean chicken soup. I don't know if it's authentic or not, but it sure does taste good. Deal is, you know I post a lot of pictures. I post them on Instagram, The Hog Zone. Just go to Instagram, The Hog Zone. I post a lot of pictures there. I got a page on Facebook called The Hog Zone. I post a lot of pictures there. And then on different food groups as I cook stuff. The number one question is, what's the recipe? That is the recipe. I'm not big on recipes. I don't have time to measure stuff. Most people don't. That's why you go buy hamburger helper and you throw some hamburger meat in it, it's done. That's why I got my blends. You just throw it in on any food, meat, whatever, popcorn, French fries. You just season the stuff up, cook it how you're going to cook it, either on the grill, barbecue it, bake it, make soup out of it. You know, you season everything like that. But today, texture is very important. It's more of a technique than a recipe. So today we're going to make this chicken soup. I'm going to use chicken hearts. If you don't like chicken hearts, just use more drumsticks or wings. But the key to this is you need the skin. You want some of the gristle too. This has to have a texture. You know, as you're digging through it, it's going to have a texture to it. You also want the fat. Got to have that layer of fat on it. We go through the produce aisle at the store and pick what you like. The whole technique to this is you want to add the vegetables at the proper time. Like this bok choy. If I add this at the beginning, it'll be nothing left. It'll just be a slimy, gooey, it'll be nasty. To me, it'll be nasty. It'll just melt away. It's kind of like cooking some celery. Put that in there, you know, and after an hour of boiling or simmering, it gets all... So if you want crunch, you got to add it later. Same thing with carrots. You know, you add those at the beginning because you obviously want those to soften up. So that's the technique. The meat today is chicken, whatever the gnarly chicken pieces you can get. I mean, this is $1. Clean out the produce out of your refrigerator and make you some soup. Only thing I'm going to season with today is that right there. And I've been experimenting, and this weekend I got about 10 guys going to be experimenting with them too. So, last thing though, I am going to put in some red beans. I'm using it out of a can. You can use canned vegetables, you just dump them in at the end after you cook the meat. I just didn't have any fresh red beans, and you know, those you would have to boil for a couple hours before you throw in everything else. Hell, I even got some frozen okra. It's a mixed bag today, but I can tell you this, it's going to be good. So let's go ahead and cook. I stripped down my drumsticks. Now if you want to gnaw on the bone, hey, go for it. Just throw the whole drumstick in there, you know, and then just peel the meat off later. But I cut it up into bite-sized pieces. Even cut some of the gristle off because I like the crunch here and there. This is kind of, you can feed a lot of guys with this. And I'm worried my pot is actually too small. Now the first thing I'm going to add to this hot water is my chicken bouillon cubes. And you may wonder, well, why is he adding that first or whatever? It's because if I don't add them now, I will forget to put them in there. And this isn't really, the chicken's going to give it all the flavor it needs. I'm just usually doing this for the salt. Second thing I'm going to do is add my ginger root. I did not peel it. You can take the skin off. If you leave the skin on, it's got a different flavor. It's a little stronger, it's a little hotter. We're going to add that ginger root in there. The chicken. These are the drumsticks, skin, a little bit of gristle. And I'm not even going to the chicken breast zone. I am not a chicken breast guy. And when people say, I need chicken breast, I made chicken soup with chicken breast. Please, Lord, help me. These are little chicken hearts. These just taste like dark meat chicken. That's all they taste like. They are kind of funky looking, I guess. Now here's funky item number one. This is what I'm talking about, texture. These are pork skins in brine. If you haven't had these, you might freak out. It's just the hide of a pork. It's football. Though they use leather or cattle skin now, but anyway. Yeah, real appetizing. I'm going to add all of these. Like I said, I want the texture. It's also going to make a nice picture, believe it or not, because you're like, what the hell is that thing in there, you know? Of course, you don't want all the brine, but this stuff, I had it in the refrigerator, so the brine's thickened up on me. But hey, it's going to add a little salt, and that's going to help us out. Like I said, this is my cardio diet. Ooh, that looks wonderful. That's kind of looking nasty right now. Okay, since this is just starting to boil, we're going to add our carrots to soften these up. You can hold some back if you'd like to have a couple of crunchy ones, but I'm just going to go dump it in there. It's all about timing. At this point, I'm going to drop some garlic in. I'm just doing this one thing at a time. And I got a jalapeno. I'm not cutting this up. This is just so it bleeds out some background heat into the soup. Now this has been cooking for about 15 minutes while I've been videoing and doing my thing. And we're going to let it simmer for another 15 minutes or so. But at this point, we're adding the Caribbean heat. Gosh, that smells good. And this immediately is going to look a whole lot better. Now I'm only going to add 3 heaping teaspoons right now, because I may have to add, after I add all the vegetables, that'll drag down the flavor a little bit. I may have to add, you know, another teaspoon, heaping teaspoon, to get it where it needs to be. But that already looks 100% better, doesn't it? Now, y'all, these are those little fruits that grow them in this tree in my backyard. Basically, they're a lime. This one's fully ripe, the other one isn't. They don't get really much sweeter than a lime, but they're real tasty. Y'all, it's been about 30 minutes now, so I'm going to go ahead and add these. I got these tomatoes. Now I just added the tomato. Now I'm adding mustard greens at the very end, but I like the stems of the mustard greens. Some people don't, but I got to add them now because they're, you know, they're very hard. But if you boil them for 30 minutes, they're crunchy. Also got some okra. It's a frozen okra. I do prefer fresh, but that's what I had. Now at this point, putting in some onion, most of the onion, not all of it. And I'm putting in 1 stick of celery. Now at this point, I got the canned red beans. I drained them off. I'm only using about half a can. I'm gonna go ahead and add those. You can add them later because they are already cooked. They're already soft. But I'm tired of looking at them on the counter. Now it's been probably about 45 minutes, I guess. I'm gonna add some corn in there. Bell pepper. I used orange, mainly for the color, or a red one. I guess you could use green, but that orange really pops. Now I'm gonna go for a little taste on this. See where my flavor's at. Got a little spicy kick to it. Really not that bad though. Now the flavor's there, y'all. I could leave it right there, but I can't ever leave anything alone. So what I'm gonna do, another half teaspoon. I still have some more vegetables to throw in here, so they're gonna take up the slack. So now that we got Old McDonald's farm in here, we're gonna go ahead and add these mushrooms. You can cut them up if you want to. I prefer them whole. I guess some people might want to call this a stew. I don't look at it as a stew. I call it chicken soup. We are very close to the end, guys. This has been cooking for an hour, basically. So, I had some mustard greens. So I'm going to go ahead and add these in. Of course, you want to rinse these. I just got, I don't know, 4 or 5, half a dozen leaves. I had a plant in the backyard, so I went out there and got it. Of course, I knocked the snails off of it first before I'm sticking it down in this soup. Also going to add these snow peas. I don't want to overcook these because they'll start breaking apart. I kind of like them crunchy. Like I said, this is the very end. Bok choy. That's going in there. Our pot has reached its limit. And you see these are kind of puffing up. That's how you want them. One last item, y'all. That's looking pretty darn good. This is the last item. We're going to throw a bunch of these cherry tomatoes, grape tomatoes in there. We don't want these to blow apart. We want them whole. That's why they're going in right at the end. That should be enough. Of course, one for the cook. He's been in there, I just put those tomatoes in. They've been in there maybe 3 or 4 minutes. Then do a quick taste test. Wow, that's tasty. That has a little bit of everything. Now guys, this has been cooking maybe an hour and 10 minutes. Turning off my heat. And we're just gonna cover it. Okay, y'all, got a bowl, got some rice. This has been sitting here for probably about an hour now. Alright, y'all, gonna do the taste test. First thing I'm gonna do is taste that broth. Yeah, the flavor's there. This is spicy goodness right here. Very hearty, very spicy. Well, not real spicy, but spicy enough. Oh, it's a winner. Yeah, I mean, you make a big pot of this and there won't be anything left, and it's cheap, so. Oh, awesome. Gonna go eat it. I appreciate you watching. And check out thehogzone.com.
Hi.